Okay, the time is 5:32. We'll call it in order. We'll discuss some draft of the bond article, and looks like the agreement.
And we also have a non-public.
And what?
And a non-public
No.
for the disposition reports.
For what?
Disposition reports.
Okay, we'll discuss that. I guess maybe the first thing is the agreement with the water company. I don't think everybody's read it.
It's the same as the last one we had.
It looks like they issued for 5 years.
Yeah, look, I have a few problems with it.
Right.
Item number 4, first of all, there's nothing in here saying that they're going to let us train using the fire hydrant out there. Secondly, they want this, item 4 in this agreement, wants this whole deal to be done in secret and then bring it to town meeting floor for approval. And that's included in the budget. With no public input whatsoever.
So before we sign it, you think we ought to maybe draft a letter with what you're saying and send it to them and say, yeah, okay. I have no problem with
And usually, it's usually not labeled an agreement between two. It's usually an intermunicipal agreement, since we're two municipalities according to the state special village districts. So it's like kind of titled wrong. There's a lot of things. The first 3 items, 1, 2, and 3, I don't have a problem with, but we definitely want included in this agreement our memorandum of understanding, our intermunicipal agreement, whatever legal people say it should be, our ability to use the fire hydrant out here to train, or for them to provide. I know when we talked with John, that they said that there could be a pressurized vessel out here, what, 20,000 gallons or something like that, and to give us simulated pressure water source. Now, he didn't say whether the water department would be paying for it or the fire district, but in my opinion, it should be the water department.
Yeah.
Restricting us from using fire.
I agree. I mean, we pay for the service and we pay for it out here. We should be able to use it any time.
Yeah, we discussed that.
Dearly.
Yeah, that was a big discussion there about the training impact, and I understand that their hydrant system is restricted at this time, but then give us a portable system and maintain it at their cost.
I guess my feeling is I'd let the chief write up something. I'm willing to sign it. You write up something, whatever you feel you want. I'll read it over, and whether you guys want to sign it or not, I'd sign it, with the agreement of that.
Well, I think that whatever I write up, the commission should look over before
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Discuss. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, if possible, send it out to all commissioners to review it, send feedback back to you,
Absolutely.
I think.
Okay.
Because I think all 3 of us are supposed to sign it before we do, so
Oh, yeah.
get that input beforehand.
And since they're providing the draft, we'll give them our feedback. They should give us another draft.
Yep.
And once we approve it here, we'll send it to Primex for liability purposes, and then we'll send it to another attorney to make sure that we're protected in every other way as well.
Okay.
So I'll draft something up and get it out to you guys.
Definitely something about water supply usage at the fire station. I mean, they can do it, a portable system in the 5 years and less water available for the 5 years. Now, whether they choose to keep a pressurized tank for 5 years or 3 years from now, they expand the system. But yes, to support the training during the duration of the contract, or the agreement. And the only other problem is they want us to, I read that as public hearing, so a public hearing on the thing, but
Yeah.
it's not saying that it has to be non-public. It'd be like the meeting we had one before. There's still minutes of it, so it's still, if public's interested, they can still go to it. So I see that as that, in advance of public hearings, I kind of see that as, okay, this is the information for the public after the initial discussion, so I don't have a problem with that per se. It would not be discussed with them in non-public. So I think that part I read is fine with that.
It seems like they're trying to get us to start discussions earlier, which we did, but they took until now.
Yeah, I remember it was warm weather when we first
Yeah, it
started
was
this.
fall, I think. It was might have been late summer when we started this process.
Yes.
So we were on the ball, and
Yes.
based on this, it sounds like because now it's in the first quarter, so, okay. We
Of the
started-
last year. That's good. I mean, it stayed at the same price
But we did talk about training and use of the hydrant and
in detail
that needs
at
to
that
be in
meeting.
there, yeah.
Yep.
We probably spent a half hour talking about it.
And longer when I had meetings on.
Yeah. Some source for you out there.
So we're all with an agreement for the chief to write up something, we'll look it over and go from there.
Are you in agreement with the amount of the 125,488?
We'll see as last year.
It's the same as
It's the
last
same
time.
as in the past. Yep.
Still feels like a ripoff.
I don't expect they
How do
to.
you not have pressurized hydrants?
What?
But if we never signed an agreement, then you went to, what, there'd be no water?
No, they still do water.
They'd be water, but they would bill us a different rate and stuff. They'd probably hit us at a much higher cost every time we tapped into
Yeah,
their
I
system.
think anybody on town water would pay dearly.
Oh, I'm just curious.
I think that's the way it.
So do you want me to plug that number into the budget under your column?
What do you mean, and the one, I mean, it hasn't gone up.
Right, but it's
Right,
not
but
in
you-
the
you
budget
had-
yet.
It's
Oh,
not in
it's
the
not in
budget.
there yet.
Right.
It's on page 9.
So I'll make a motion that, well, we haven't signed the agreement though. So should we put it in there, should we not put it in there?
What if, okay, we send them something back and they say, oh, if you want to do this, then it's going to cost this instead.
No, wouldn't cost any more than this, otherwise I would. Why should we pay for it? We pay for that service out there. They should be able to provide it if we pay what they're asking.
I agree, but what if they counter offer with a higher number because they want essentially us to pay for the training supply of water?
I say we sign it and there's no stipulation here saying we can't use the water for training. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's another side to look at it.
The contract doesn't say we can't use that hydrant. So,
Doesn't say we can't either, so.
no, it says water available, so it doesn't specify restrictions on that water.
The only thing is, I mean, as John said, it will affect all the way down to culture.
That's on them.
You're right, and I agree with that. I agree. But I would, you know.
So to minimize the impact on them, it would be beneficial for them to have a portable water supply out here. It would be much more beneficial for their cost of everything.
But where would that water come from? It's gonna come from the system.
Well, they could take it off the system at a slower rate.
Yeah.
So you can take it at a slower rate, and that way you're not stirring up the whole process. So after they're done training, they could start trickle fill.
We got, what's 2.5 in here, used to come fresh with.
I mean, what's that hold? 2,000 gallons?
This is
That's
1,000,
Tankers,
1,500, 2,500.
So you can sit there and fill all the trucks up, go empty them into whatever your training material is, go fill the trucks up again. I don't think that puts much of a stress on the system, does it?
Utilities trucks all the time.
Yeah. It's just more of a trickle rather than a constant flowing it for hours upon hours at a time.
If we grab the hydrant and we want to flow a lot of water, we can flow an awful lot of water and create a lot of, loosen up a lot of tuberculation which is in the pipes.
Yeah.
When we fill these trucks, we don't get very much pressure.
Yeah.
I think they got it gated down so they
Probably.
can't, even though they say they don't.
I'd say send it back with the water supply thing, and if that becomes an issue, then there will have to be discussions real fast before meetings.
Yeah, we gotta get this done quick.
Okay.
So I would make a recommendation that we put in the proposed budget with the water district for the 125,988 as proposed.
We still look at budget and something.
Right.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that at this time we accept the cost of we propose cost of 125,988 for line 4332 for pressurized hydrants, pending signed agreement with the water district.
Second.
Okay, if you move second, all those in favor?
All right.
All right.
Okay, so you're all set there. I'll get a draft here of the warrant articles, but
That is right, and you will notice that the only ones that are numbered are 1 through 4, because you have to, which way do you want them to appear in your warrant?
What order do you want them? 1 through 4 have to be the way they are.
Right.
And the rest of them we can move around,
Everything else we can move on.
except for the last one, which is transact any other business.
Right.
And you will notice that the numbers have all been filled in except for on the first two, the operating and the apparatus and equipment. And then it is/is not is highlighted because that hasn't been decided yet either.
Yep. Has the budget committee been able to finalize their portion of it minus the water, or are they still?
They're still working on it.
Okay.
Still working on
All
it.
right.
Hopefully Friday night.
Maybe Friday night will be done.
Hopefully Friday night.
Still contentious, I guess.
I know.
So we only left the warrant articles, right?
No, they haven't touched the apparatus and equipment fund budget yet, and they haven't.
Well, that's what I meant, yeah, that.
And they haven't finished the operating budget either.
So what?
Operating budget. If you look through, you'll see that things are highlighted. Blue is stuff they have to look at, and yellow is stuff that they wanted to revisit, possibly.
Oh, yeah, because like the Opticon thing. Did you ever get that email?
Nope.
Did you get an email from someone at the state?
It'd be Tanane's with me. Tanane's works with Tnfd.
Has he gotten it?
I'm aware of it.
He would have let me know if he did.
I hope.
No, he would. He's really good at that.
so we got to put these in order.
Well, however you want them.
I know.
If you tell me what you want first, I'll number them on my sheet.
What is the time for the public to put in for?
There's the ending of there.
If you look at your calendar, it is February 2nd is the last day for them to petition any warrant articles.
Have there been any yet?
No.
You think there's going to be some?
Yeah.
I'm sure there is.
There's going to be
Yeah.
something.
There's going to be some. I really think the operating budget, the apparatus, probably the fire, really should go towards the end, I think, because I think there's going to be some discussion. The ambulance, that's probably on the end. The communication tower towards the end. I don't know how much you put on the end there without moving them up, but
Well, we know that transact any other business is going to be the last one.
yeah,
Okay. What about,
we could do with the health insurance deductible, that'd probably go on there, yeah, because that goes for every year.
that is true.
Fire prevention. that
Where did
probably
we get,
goes
where did we get the 166, 150 for the design, engineering, and architectural?
That is just a warrant article in there from before.
Okay.
And if, you know, it's up to you on whether you want to put it in and whether you want to even, you know, A, do you want to insert it again this year? And B, how much do you want to put in there?
How much is in that fund now?
Well, there's nothing in design and engineering fees. This was an article that was in there last year to remove 166,000 from the unreserved,
Oh,
undesignated
yeah,
budget
that's right,
fund,
we put it. tried to-
because it was lapsed into that fund from the previous year.
Yeah.
And it's up to you guys whether, if you want to start up another building committee, then you should do something about this. If you want to let it rest for a year because the school's coming forward with something or whatever, that's entirely up to you.
Is the school coming up with big numbers this year?
Next year.
So next year is gonna be even tougher.
Well, if we did something, we would go in, if we did something this year and wanted to bring a proposal for a fire station next year, we'd be competing, I guess, with the school department.
Yeah. Sandwiches, in terms of the school, Sandwiches doing their big ticket items this year.
Yeah, they're going for a police department. I
Police
think.
and
They're
the
going
town
to police
hall.
this year, and then,
Police and town hall, I think this
I
year.
don't know how much it is.
It's 2.3 million, I think.
Yeah. That's renovation.
Well, actually, design, engineer, and architectural fees should be paired up with land purchase. Because the reason you're doing the land purchase is for potential of a station. Otherwise, you're gonna say, why the heck are you buying a piece of property if there's not a potential to use it?
All right, so you want the land purchase prior to the design, engineering, and architectural fees? So you're going to buy the land and then design it?
Well, if they don't approve the land, there's nothing.
Yeah, then it just null and voided right off the bat.
Right.
I mean, because there's no,
Right.
I think that those two, they need to go together wherever they go, but I think the land, they understand that. And the other,
So we maybe ought to put the land up front there, get it right. I mean,
Okay, so do you want that as warrant article 5?
I would put that up front there. I mean, it's,
the question is how, the way I look at it, I mean, I don't want to try and manipulate the budget to see how many you drive out, because they show up for the big ticket and then they run away, and how many you can, I don't like that idea. I prefer people to say the whole thing. But you also don't want to enrage them too early on, because then it's no for everything after that. So there is some psychology in that. I mean, that's getting into it, and I mean, that's a small ticket item to think about and where the district wants to go, but that's part of how I'm looking at this is, I mean,
the only thing is you throw a big item at them in the beginning, they're gonna look at all the small, you don't need that, you don't need this, and you just got that.
but if you also give some small things, they're also going to take it from the big budget later. We already gave you this, so why are you asking for that? I never realized how much went into this on the receiving end.
I still think the land ought to be number 5. I think, then what we put, the design engineer after that, it's up to, you know, it's up to you guys.
I think they should
Or whether we do
be paired.
away with it.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to try moving forward in the next year or two, you kind of got to start the design phase. Because no matter what we do, you're going to be probably 2 years from when you design it by the time you get it approved and things like that and get started. So if you're not working it now, you're looking at 3 to 4 years before you have a brick and a roof.
I have no problem putting that, the following, I mean, put this in number 5, then do number 6, land and engineer design. Because like I said, that's under the unreserved balance, I mean, it's.
All right, so that's fine. So the land, you want to raise and appropriate from taxation? Or do you want to transfer from the land and building fund?
And how much we got in the land? I didn't even see.
It's about, it's almost, it's $3.5, $4 million.
No,
400,000, excuse me. Yeah, no. Couple of,
If we got that kind of money.
I think,
I would like to see it come on the land.
or you
building
can,
fund.
or you can even put it in the operating budget.
Because the more we put in there, they're gonna start taking away stuff. They're gonna say, well, you just put you want us to pay $6,000. We take it out of the land and building fund. It's not your tax, well, it's in there, we put money in there, but still, it's not gonna be taxed on. I mean, you've already paid for it, it's already in there. So I think them two ought to
Same
come out
with
of
the,
that one.
if you take it out of the unreserved fund balance or the undesignated, whatever, I forget, I don't even know what it's called right now.
it's the unassigned fund balance.
Unassigned fund balance, if you take it out of there, it doesn't come from the land and building fund, it just comes off the
We have a
extra
good-
money we have in the bank.
The money we got in the bank, and how much is in there?
$500,000 now, isn't it?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
$500,000.
So that's quite a chunk.
Yeah.
So I think it should,
I feel as though it probably should come out of there.
You know what, so that way it doesn't affect the tax rate.
Yeah.
Whatever you guys think, I mean, that's where,
What do you think, Eric?
All right, let's not put it on the taxpayers, let's take, I mean,
Yeah.
we've kind of already done it, let's take it out of that money that we have $500,000 there. Because otherwise, what could happen is they try to take that unassigned fund balance and use it for other things,
Right.
which has happened in the past.
So that's the way it's written, is to come out of the unassigned fund balance.
Right, but putting that higher up in the order before we get to some of the other areas. Because now we can say, all right, if it's, let's just say it's 565,000 and it's 165, okay, now we have 400,000. We can't, what's our drop dead number on that? What's that drop dead number on the unassigned fund balance? Like, we have to have in there.
well, that's where I had the
I'll
concern.
have all
We'll have that
those.
number with you, but it's a lot lower than that.
No, I know that, but that's gonna get picked, it's gonna get pecked away at.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
just don't
don't
want to
forget, they
get
can
the tax.
reshuffle the order on the fly here too, so.
Say that again?
They can reshuffle the order.
They can, yes, they can
On
make
the
a
floor.
motion to, yep.
I said on the fly and on the floor.
Same thing.
so you want to do land and building and then design, okay, land and building number 5?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I don't know, do we have to do motions on the order or?
No, you can just,
No, you can just do it.
And the design number 6?
Okay.
Now, the design for, we need to discuss the amount.
Right.
Because personally, I'm fine with the 5,000 for land purchase, because that's what we talked about as
Yeah.
we had to for the state for that property of value and all that.
So does this create almost like a apparatus fund where we can't touch this for anything else other than design, engineering, architectural towards
Yeah,
a new
Yes.
fire
it
station?
does.
yes,
Okay.
And if we don't,
I like that.
if we don't,
That's
if
what
we
I
don't
want.
use it, it stays there.
Right.
that's
Right,
correct.
it doesn't lapse like it did last
Right.
time.
Right, it will not
Okay.
last.
This is written so it does not
Yeah,
lapse.
that's good.
Myself personally, I think $100,000 is more than enough.
That's where I was kind of leaning towards. I know with the school, with all the stuff we were doing, we set it for 100,000, we used 20,000 of it so far. I mean, it's going to start adding up when they start doing things, but I think 100,000 is a little bit better. Because we've already done some stuff out here with test wells and things like that, so, and it's already been surveyed, so there's already, if this is where they choose to go. Because that is still an if of it, but I think that you potentially would see people see more potential of a future station. But I think 100,000 would get you started for a year. To get your engineered plans and all that. I mean, you've been through this unfortunately a few times. What was the process usually with that?
Yeah, you do, you find out where you're going to be, you do a design concept, you go over that. When you decide, when you finish that, you do, and you think that this is the way it's going to go, you have the architect draw more detailed plans. You have the engineers come in, make sure we might have to do some corings and things like that to make sure the land can support whatever, know what they need to do to support whatever the type of building we put over there, those types of things. I think 100,000 is good.
Okay, we have that motion?
Why don't you, and then that'll be nice and neat, and we won't have to
I'll
worry
make a
about it.
motion to accept design engineering architectural fees as warrant article number 6 for the amount of 100,000.
I'll second it.
And how do we have to phrase it so it's non-lapsing?
It's the wording. is
It's
in
the
there.
wording
The
is in there
wording in it,
already,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
Thinking ahead of it.
Okay, if you're moving
I
second,
appreciate
all those
that.
in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Okay, number 7.
Since you're on a roll there, do you want to
Fire
add the
prevention.
land and building fund?
Yeah, I agree. That might be number 7.
wait, what was number 5 then?
Number 5.
Land
is
purchase.
Land
Oh,
purchase.
I did the other one, that's 5, okay, sorry. Misnumbered.
Land and building. Did we put anything in there last year?
Yes,
Yes.
I'd like to see.
50,000.
I don't see the same issue. I mean,
So last year was 50,000, the year before that was 100,000.
Yeah.
I'm fine with 50,000. I mean, it's,
Yeah, I'd rather do smaller ones with all the other stuff that's possibly on the table. At least it's still putting a little bit in, I think. That's my thought.
yeah, mine too. You okay with that?
So 7 is land and building.
50,000.
Okay, that's all the land and building stuff.
And then the only one left on that page is the contingency fund.
We usually throw that at the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
after everything else.
Yeah.
how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4.
On the page before.
Think number
there's some-
16, number 15, something like that?
yeah.
I think you have a couple of those smaller ones too that are high impacts on page 2,
Yes,
like the fire prevention fund. I mean, that's against incoming funds, so that's almost a net zero. So
Right.
that's a pretty easy one as well.
So we could do that? You want to do that next, number 7?
that'd be number 8.
There'll be
Which one? Established
Um,
a
contingency?
fire prevention, the like, fire
This
prevention.
EGF.
Number 8, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then do you want the fire prevention budget to be number 9?
Yes, I think it should be, that way you're
Right
putting
under
in
it.
and coming out,
Okay,
as we normally do.
Okay, so fire prevention,
number 9.
number 9.
Now, what about the health insurance deductible? Do you want that at this point?
That's a good place to put
Number
that.
10,
10.
Yeah.
All right,
With
all
all
right,
this-
so
Let me get, the fire prevention, what fire prevention budget is number what?
9,
And what's fire prevention?
8. The fire prevention
Okay, yeah, okay, I
EGF
got
are the
it
funds that we
backwards,
bring in.
Okay,
Put the money in and then
yeah, okay.
Money out.
allow them to use it.
And then 10 is the health insurance.
the burn stuff.
The what?
The health insurance deductible was number 10.
Yeah, that's pretty
You
easy.
might as well do, the communication tower, you're just setting up a fund to allow the money to come in.
Right,
So I talked to Wireless Edge today. They're moving forward, and they don't expect a huge problem moving forward, and they think that the tower should be completed and operational before the end of this calendar year.
2022, okay.
So that we will, 2021.
21.
So we will be getting revenue from that, and if we don't assign that revenue to whatever you
Right.
guys want to assign it to, it'll just go into the general fund and be stuck there.
What's our estimated revenue a month?
So a month is,
I don't know, is there only one company signed up for it, or two?
right now there's one,
Yeah,
and there can't be a number 2 until one is up and running,
right.
because of the way those leases are running. So the first year, we're gonna get a 5,007, I don't know, we'll get $5,000 once they get a building permit.
Yeah.
Then 17,000.
And this is a perpetual lease, so it's not like it's front loaded or anything.
That's right. 17,000 divided by 12 equals Then each month we'll get a check for $14,1666, $1,416.66.
That's like goals,
Oh, 67 cents, whatever.
And that's just one person.
That's just one
So
person.
if we got another person.
The next person that's going, you see, and he's got people in line already. The next person, whatever he signs a contract for that person to go on the tower, we collect 40% of that revenue for every other tenant.
So you want to make that number 11?
I'm fine with it being that number. I'm just trying to, personally, I'm just trying to absorb this fund. The intent of the funds from this will offset costs for only repairs, maintenance, and construction costs of fire stations and radio communications. Is all it can be.
Cost or bonds, so if we bond it, we can use this money to pay off, to help defray the cost of a bond.
Any bond or bond for a fire or,
Well, that would be the only bond.
okay, well, I'm used to other, okay, so,
And if any cost towards radio infrastructure. So if something that's ours that they give us that needs to be repaired, we should be able to use that money that we collect on this to fix it.
fixed radio or mobile radios?
If infrastructure is
Okay,
something
so it's
that's,
your fixed
like that's
facility.
infrastructure, because it doesn't go anywhere.
Right, so fixed.
Yeah,
Fixed
it'd be
radio.
like-
Nothing for the apparatus radio systems or anything like that. It's not
Right.
intended.
Say we needed to add a microwave link, that's infrastructure.
Okay.
Or say an antenna snap or two,
Right.
that's infrastructure. A receiver, additional receiver for.
So this is more footprint and communication.
Yes.
Is the best way, that's all that fund can really be used for, is
As it's
footprint.
written, that's
Okay.
correct.
Because the way we write it is the way it's going to be committed from this point on.
Right.
So that's why I just want to make sure we thought,
Good source of revenue coming in.
it is, but it's, if you build a station then,
Right, but let's just say it collects $50,000 in a year. And
There'll be a point where
You
you
can
will
s-
be collecting something like that.
right, but you can say, okay, we're gonna put $30,000 towards fire station bond, if we had one in existence.
oh,
And
so
we-
you could use it to, at that point, roll it into a bond, your bond
Well, you could use
payments.
it as a bond payment.
So
Okay.
the bond payment,
All right.
say the bond payment between the two districts for that year is $50,000 for whatever it is. We just took in $50,000.
So
We
you
can
could
take
use that as a
30,000
payment.
of that and defray
Okay.
those costs, so it's not gonna, the
Right.
bond payment for that year on the tax rate is gonna be much less than
Okay.
it would be otherwise.
That's why I just want to make sure I fully understood how this could affect and not get trapped funds down the road. I just want to make sure we look through all that first.
And as the commissioners, you could decide what that number
Right, I
is.
read that.
And then on the flip side of that, if Deputy Gerbert in a rush bumps into this desk and knocks this thing over on the ground, you could use the funds for that to replace it.
For fixed communications, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he would, I'm just,
Right.
I don't have one on my desk.
no, I said bumped into this.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So,
I'm good with it.
we all right with that number 11?
I am then.
Communication tower, number 11.
And then it gets fun.
Yeah, I'm going to be-
From there, you're probably looking at your either operating or apparatus and equipment.
No, I think operating's gonna be last.
Okay.
Because by then, just as it was me, have we put it last in the past?
Most times.
No,
So
usually
it's
it's right up front.
So people can come and go. That's how a lot of times they want to circulate, it's, I want this and go, even though there's other topics that they're gonna stay for.
I think the engine.
They're gonna stay for the engine.
In the ambulance, I think.
Yep.
Maybe this is a good time for the operating budget. Again, they can move it or whatever.
Right, they have the option to petition. Or, I mean,
Did we establish a contingency fund?
Not yet.
We haven't put that in there. We haven't put a number next to it yet.
It's on the end.
Maybe that should be number 12.
Usually it's at the end though, isn't it? You know, most,
You don't have, it can be
I
any.
know it can be, but
Anywhere you want it.
This is only, what, the second year we've had that, or third?
No, we've had it for
We've had it.
about 4 or 5 years now, except for last year, they didn't fund it.
Oh, that's right.
right. They chose
That's what
to,
threw me off.
put it in. That one has some discussion to it, but it's not, usually not long discussion. I mean, as a thought, because the other ones are gonna have some significant floor, comments that are gonna take a while.
Do you want to make that number 12,
I think so, yeah.
Which one is that?
contingency?
Well,
I think that way you're just getting,
Warming them up.
right, I mean, there'll be discussion on the floor, but it's not too many, it's not like you're hitting them with the big dollar right off the bat and then just, at that point, the wallet's already burned up. Now we're getting into where the wallet's starting to ache.
Well,
Okay, so now, you got, on the second page, you only got one on the second page and the rest on.
Yeah, all you got left is operating apparatus, and then fire, and, new engine, and new ambulance.
number 13 would be the apparatus and equipment fund.
You want apparatus before operating?
I don't know, I think operating should be.
Operating's gonna be probably a little loaded too.
That's going to take a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I sense that one's gonna have some warrants against
She
it.
put some
and
cupcakes on either side of it.
I think that one's definitely gonna have some, warrants from the floor or whatever, the, motions from the floor.
I'm sure they're early.
I mean, the apparatus and equipment fund budget,
Yeah.
that's, usually goes through pretty quick.
Yeah,
that's
that
pretty
doesn't, and
straightforward.
it doesn't affect
Yeah, it doesn't
taxation.
affect your taxes.
It does affect your taxes.
It's usually what, like 40,000, I think it's, was it $40,000 this year?
Okay, so
No,
that's
it's,
12, I think it is.
13.
it's about 100,000. That's in the,
Yep.
13?
Yep,
Is that for the apparatus?
yes.
Good. All right.
Now we get some,
Now we have a new fire engine and a new ambulance to finish up the app equipment.
yeah, we went through the 13. What did we decide, which one prioritized was the engine?
the engine is prioritized over the engine.
So it should go before, alright,
Yeah, you're right, I agree, the engine ought to go before.
So have that is 14.
Yeah,
so you're gonna do the apparatus and stuff before the final operating?
So 15,
Is the
14,
ambulance.
15, and then operating?
Operating be
Close
number
out?
16?
yeah,
Is that what you want?
I do.
Okay.
do we
And,
need one more time before we,
Yes, you do. You do have
so
another.
see it in order just to see it and
Well, yes.
digest it?
This makes it so much easier. I'll be able to go onto the DRA website, get them all in
Prepping it.
order, get them all plugged in, and then I'll print it out so that you guys can see it.
Right.
As
And
it
then
will
you're just
appear,
waiting for the
just-
numbers and stuff.
Yeah, waiting for numbers.
I mean, I'm willing to bet you'll have a motion from the floor to reorganize, but I think that's the best way to go with it. Alright.
So,
So that brings up another thing. Are you guys going to want to meet prior to your February 2nd meeting?
You have a calendar here, it's not on the calendar.
I know it's not on the calendar because that's your decision, not mine.
Is it Groundhog Day holiday?
I wish.
Alright,
February 2nd?
February 2nd is your next meeting, and that's the last day for petition warrant articles.
Okay.
So that works out well.
That works out well, because then we can determine.
rearrange things if we want to.
what's the, time deadline? Is it close of business?
Yes.
4 o'clock. and
So,
we'll meet at
so
5:30.
4 or 5 o'clock, close of business prior to our meeting?
Right.
Okay, I just,
Yes.
okay. So you meet somewhere between the 2nd and the 8th, or?
Well, the second will be the night that you deal with all that,
Yeah.
and you'll be seeing the budget as you arranged it, unless you have a meeting before then. I've asked the budget committee to please try and have their portion done by the 29th at the latest.
That doesn't leave us a lot of time.
No, it doesn't.
The order of the budget, I mean, I'm comfortable with what we've done. I mean,
Yeah, unless we see something really strange out there.
I mean, I could probably pull out the magic 8 ball and figure out which ones of the budget, operating and apparatus, are contingent or have some arguments going on right now.
Yeah, 8 ball, uh-huh,
Anything to do with the safety one?
yeah.
How about that?
I wasn't saying it, but, so,
We have to be on our, we have to be on our A game for that.
Yes,
yeah.
you do.
We need to talk about the committee that we want to have. It'd be a great time to organize.
Yes, for
people
this next part.
We need to, finally, we need to have our shit together.
I have a question about the presentation of it. So we have warrant article numbers in the operating budget, correct? At district meeting? There's certain numbers in there, correct?
No, the
So,
warrant articles are as they are numbered this way.
correct, but when they're looking through here,
They're not going to see that.
okay, so they won't have a copy of this, 'cause I thought that
They
was
will
going to
not
happen.
have a copy of that. They'll have the MS
All right,
535.
my question was, I guess, in the order that you're putting them, is going to make it more confusing when you're up front with numbers potentially changing ahead of time for the bottom line.
They're confused no matter what.
Okay. I know when the operating
Because-
budget first starts, it's like, okay, this, and this, and then the warrant articles come, so we kind of know the impact it's going to have on the warrant articles. It's just going to be vice versa this
It's
time.
going to be reversed.
But usually you have an Excel system going in there. When they make an adjustment, you put it in and it does the auto sums.
Well,
Depends on how the computer system works down there.
Or where we're even having the darn meeting.
We got approved today for the cafetorium.
Also, that's where we normally have it.
Yes.
So you said the computer, you can talk with the school and they have a Wi-Fi that will set you up that you'll have
Yes.
access to.
I ask them for it every
Okay.
year. But
Daily will,
it doesn't always mean that it's going to work appropriately, because they do have issues.
if you get with Daily ahead of time, he'll make sure you have the password and all that stuff.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, because Daly's really, we've gotten a lot better with it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's some commercial lines set up, but the password changes frequently because,
I always get
We've
it.
done the cap, so it's not like we haven't done. The gym we had never done before, and
Right.
yeah. We'll have a screen, we'll have,
yes.
can we have them make sure all the friggin' lights in the cafeteria work? Because
Yeah.
last year,
That's why you
all the
need it.
lights over our table were burnt out. And
I couldn't even see.
I couldn't see crap.
Were they burnt out or off?
They are burnt out
Burnt
down
out.
by the stage.
I don't know if I can make that magic happen.
Snap your fingers.
Remember, had the-
I don't know what goes in there.
Let's see.
Okay,
Yeah, it was dark.
I'll bring it up at,
Put a headlamp on.
I'll pass that on to Rob,
Yes.
Yeah.
Rob Derry, yes, that's the one I was trying to think of, to see if he can look into it.
Do it
Definitely
now
allowed
before.
to do it.
We got 2 months. It's almost 2 months.
I think they have a cherry bucket or something that they use for the stuff around the school. All right.
So I emailed to all the budget committee, I should have copied the commissioners on this, the capital improvement program, because it was requested. And to show, and what it does, it shows everything that's happened before, This is what the budget request is, and this is what projected after this. You
Yeah,
know,
I think it's-
years following. And you guys are used to this format.
Yes.
And the bottom lines, you can see that with the ambulance and the engine, even in the budget, we never really go below $250,000 in them as a balance. So if we approve both the engine and the ambulance, because of how and when we're paying for these things, we're okay. And I know that's a concern for everybody. I just want to make sure everybody can see it. And I know I'll probably be doing a lot more explaining Friday night at the budget committee. But I'll send this out to you
Yes,
guys
please.
as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So the way it works is that if we approve the engine this year,
We're paying up front.
we're paying up front. We approve the ambulance, we don't pay for that until it comes because the company that we work with, they don't buy the chassis, so we can't pay for the chassis up front. The ambulance company buys all the chassis and they don't send a bill to our dealer until they deliver the vehicle, then our dealer sends us the bill. So There's no opportunity to pay upfront for that.
So I have a question on this. And it's hard because if I move my phone, it'll flip on me. So in 2030, you have a plan to replace engine 1. In 2035, again, engine 1, or is that supposed to be on a different line?
Yeah, that should be, let's see. Well, these were in here, I didn't go that far out, changing things. These were in here from certain things, and a couple things got changed. So the engine 3, see, since we're buying 2 engines so close together, these projections out need to be changed a little bit. So I'll look at that, make sure those are correct.
And no plans to replace ladder 1?
Not in our lifetime,
Okay. We bought that new, right?
yes.
How old is it?
4 years old, 5 years old,
It's older than that.
2013.
Yeah, so it's,
Oh, all right. For some reason, I was thinking it was like a 2004, so.
no,
No, 2013,
Okay.
coming up on 8 years.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it was that old.
okay, we're all the way there.
I just, the only way to read it is
You're-
it's all sideways, so.
Predicting 2030 is engine 1 replaced and we don't even have it yet, so 8 years by the time we get it.
Well, I think he's,
I'm gonna fix that stuff.
So you think
way out
it'll
there.
shift a little bit, okay.
I'll relook at it. So, yeah, ladder 1, we bought it, it went in service basically in 2013. In the first year, we actually operated it fully was in 2014. And this year it cost us $7.74 per mile to operate. Averaged over the lifetime of the vehicle is $4.78 per mile driven.
and just because my math, between 2029 and 2030, even though you're spending $1 million, the fund only drops 700, oh, because you're putting in 400,000. No. If I talk it through, it makes sense.
Okay. So there are different, the other thing that's somewhat confusing, this is our starting number, this is our ending number. Well, this ending number should go up here, but between here and here, we have the accountants come in. And then there's all these things that I don't really understand. It's like accounts receivable, but not going to be collected. Accounts this and that, and things that we owe, but we don't owe. They play with that number a little bit. It changes it by a few $1,000s. So, but in the end, it's still a viable, very viable apparatus and equipment fund, and it's been doing very well, and I expect it to continue to do very well. Even though this year our ambulance revenue was down, ambulance revenue, just quickly. So last year we collected $474,000. This year we collected $437,000. The difference being is that even though we had more EMS incidents, EMS runs, we transported 127 less people this year because of COVID and stuff like that than we did the year before. So that's why our revenues were down. If we transported the same amount of people this year as we did last year, our collection, we would have collected $503,000.
Would that, what you just said, save that? We need to be able to show at district meeting what the lack of staff, or the lack of getting the second ambulance out costs the district.
I have all of that stuff.
All right, we just need to have that and be able to well present that, because that's I think Deputy Robinson said that at our last meeting on the phone, or was he here?
was
He
on
is
the
here.
phone.
It was, so we
The
talked
last
about,
meeting.
Oh, the one before, he was here, okay, sorry.
where he talked about, you know, it costs, you know, he broke it down, and it was like $40,000. And we need to be able to show that by getting that ambulance out. I mean, you just said it was 127 people. You know, how many of those people were transported by other people? By other ambulances?
That exact number.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. I know in my head I did, I don't think I said it right.
You did.
The actual money, that's money we did collect, that's not money that people owed us we didn't collect.
Right, that's actual
So
money.
that's just
the
collected.
money that people owed us that we didn't collect, it's in the,
If
what's
he
it called,
knows.
balance sheet thing that they,
Accounts
in
receivable.
QuickBooks, but I don't understand how it works in the.
Bad debt.
I look at the checkbook. What do we have in the bank? Not these mythical numbers out there that maybe we're gonna get, maybe we're not gonna get. I look what's in the bank.
Sometimes those mythical numbers get lowered because they collect.
Yeah, we
So
actually
we
do
still have to pay a higher
collect.
commission.
We do collect money every month from people that are on payment plans and things like that.
There was a-
And it all adds up.
The first
At the end
statement
of
on
the
here
year,
shows you what
Several
they
thousand
collected.
dollars.
This first, on this manifest, the first one shows you what they collected.
For the month of the year.
For the month. For the month.
Yeah.
I think it shows you here.
So it's A2 is the one that you're proposing to replace?
Yeah,
Okay, so A2, if you replace it, when would it arrive and be put in service?
approximately, depends upon when we sign the contract, so hopefully we'll be able to sign it in April, once we get everything all finalized. And then it's about a year from there,
So April of 22.
2022.
Okay, A1. How long do you expect that to last so that they can be staggered, obviously?
Be about, A1 is it should be about 10 years old probably. Right now, currently, A1 has 61,000 miles on it.
How old is it for that?
Hold on.
Yep.
A1 is a 2017.
So it was put into service in 17 or 18?
It was put in service in 17. We got it.
That came into service in 17, and you're already at 60,000.
Yeah.
Within
We
3
average
years.
14,269 miles a year on it.
How many?
14,269. Over the time that we've had it, the average mileage per year is 14,000.
If it went into service in 17, 17, 18, 19,
So the first year we had it was 13,000. Then the second year we did, it was up to 28,000. Then the third year was 42,000. The fourth year is 61,000.
So you're expecting that, so if we put in service in 22, you're expecting that one to last, you try to get 10 years out of the ambulance?
Yep. Because when we get the new one, this will be going in as the second new ambulance.
Right.
So it won't be running as
Right,
much.
it will have a little lesser usage.
What's A2 have right now?
A2 has currently 93,000 miles on it.
And that one, that's 10 years old, so.
Yep.
So theoretically, if you put one in 22, and then you're looking 27 for A1, we're pretty much staggered 5 years apart.
Yeah, 5 years apart.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out to make sure that so it's not all at once on
Right.
that.
Like two engines at the same time.
Yeah, kind of. Because down the road, we're going to have to figure out a staggered process for your engines to try and stretch one a little bit longer to assist with the next cycle of engines so that you
I'm
can.
working on that in my head
Yeah.
right now.
So-
I've got a couple different plans.
If the engine gets approved, we're actually gonna be about 5 months ahead of that versus last year, so it would come on board a little sooner.
A little sooner, yeah.
This year, this one was done in August, September, so it's a year. I think October will be online, but next year, hopefully this year will be,
So the engine, you would think 10 of 22, potentially.
Probably a little bit before that, not 100%. Because we haven't, You really haven't, I got pricing on it. The pricing I have on it still doesn't include the trade-in for engine 1 and engine 2, which is gonna be on. It ends up, we'll take the trade-in cost off of the engine one purchase, which is the replacement of engine 3. So, the 720 is what it costs us right now, but I expect it to be less than that because of trade-in, but they can't give me a trade-in value. It's not gonna be a lot.
They've taken that one down here.
Same with the ambulance, I'm waiting to get a trade-in value on the ambulance, but that's still over a year away, and it's a guess as to what they really, when we sign the contract, we'll have a trade-in value, but until we get that, I'm trying to get an estimate on what the trade-in value for A2 is right now.
And I'm willing to bet that with the ambulance, there's probably gonna be talk of, why it has to be, if you could go with a more standardized package out there with the systems and all that. Instead of a specific engineered one to kind of match the other ambulance, I'm willing to bet that some people are going to say, well, are there ambulances out there that are already built and not purchased waiting to be bought?
Yeah, but then, yes, there are arguments for that. It's cheap, it might be cheaper, but efficiency of operation suffers because of that. And we're trying to treat people and make them, especially if they're critically ill or critically injured, you want to be very efficient in your operations, and our ambulance is specifically set up to be very efficient the way we operate. Where we can grab our IVs and medications are easily accessible, where in these standardized ambulances, you gotta get up, walk down the thing, grab a drawer up there. It's laid out terribly. Because they're cheaper.
Yep.
What about the height of the ambulances? Is that the customization affects the height?
You can make them taller.
No, I know that, but the ones that we, so the standardized ones that John is talking about, are they this, would they fit into our firehouse?
Yes.
Yeah, they should, but, yeah, they should.
Yeah.
Well, I know this, I don't know, they always look tall, so. We treat them, on my old job.
No, a
we treat
lot
them.
of the standardized ones aren't usually the tall, big, heavy engines. They're pretty much a cookie cutter that they can put out one after another, where they don't have to have the lowering and stuff like that.
Most of the private ambulance companies buy these cookie cutter ambulances because they're cheap and they go through a lot.
The disposal, I hate to say it, but that's what they are.
Yeah.
Disposal.
Exactly. You're not the 10-year plan.
They
You're not
don't
going to get
last
10 years
10
out.
years for sure.
Right.
Not the way we use them.
Right.
I see them, at my old job, we were signing them all the time,
It's just, I see both sides of the equation, and I expect on the floor there'll be some discussion both ways on that piece of the puzzle.
So if we were to buy a cookie cutter ambulance, we'd probably save maybe $40,000.
That's it.
Yeah. It won't last as long. So in the end, they end up costing you more. They break down more. There's more service that they require because the interior of the ambulances, the ones we buy are welded aluminum. They don't squeak. They don't rattle.
Ford and Chevy are the primary makers of ambulances.
Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. You can get International. You can get Freightliner. You can get Mercedes-Benz ones now.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
Well, Stewart's has a Mercedes, I know that.
Yeah, you can get them on different types of Ford chassis and all different
I
types.
think Laconia has an international, doesn't it?
Most of Laconis are internationals.
But these Fords are all right?
The Fords are all four-wheel
Which you
drive.
need here because of dirt driveways and
Yes.
whatnot, dirt muddy roads.
I rely on Belmont for my transport. No offense, but they're there. They have them all packaged up before Northfield even gets there.
Long drive for them to go for that, right?
It is. My neighbors used to have hospice. I was over there, and I'd have them all loaded on Belmont as Northfield showed up. Or maybe they might show up before they're loaded in. It's like, you want in yours or ours?
had those discussions many times.
Yeah.
So, I guess we move on.
Yeah,
You all set with that?
I'm comfortable with the warrant articles the way they are.
Like tweak it.
I think before we got off on that thing, it was whether we're gonna meet or not is what Kathy was asking from us. Are we going to or not? I did remember Kathy.
It's okay, I wasn't gonna remind you.
So what day do you want to meet on? I mean,
Which one?
Do you want to meet between now and when your next
Yeah.
meeting is scheduled? That was my question.
what's the date?
Today is the 13th.
Yes.
You have a meeting on the 27th that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, so, and that's a completely non-public, so records and all
Completely.
that. Yeah, I'd rather keep
Yeah.
that separate.
Absolutely.
We could cancel that and put it there, or move that one further down, or whatever you want to do.
Do you need another one?
I don't.
At this moment, I don't think we do. That's,
Okay, then that's good to know.
Yeah, second, we'll have all the petition stuff on.
Right.
And then the public hearing is on the 8th, we can always meet between then and the 8th if we really have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that week is actually,
Don't say it.
for me,
Don't say it. Don't say it.
okay.
It'll either be a blizzard.
Is good?
That's where the 27th, we're holding up small leaf sign?
Yes,
No?
they will meet you at the
Oh, yes.
building and let you in and
So I'm gonna let
Explain
them tell me
stuff.
how to get there.
Do you know where the new school is?
Oh, Concord?
Not supposed
Concord, go up the back way.
I'm gonna Google it right now. 67
Yes.
Yep, 67 sheds.
Nice using the community buildings where we can. I like that.
What was that?
I should know.
It's all the way at the top of the building.
It's across the street from the new school.
Yeah,
Oh, that new building?
The new
Yeah,
school,
the
the new school is
administrative
directly
building.
across the street from it.
there's a
Oh, that.
conference room.
Well, I say we've been there for a while.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
7 or 8 years, but.
Yeah.
Well, my GPS is telling me.
You gotta get to Dwayne's?
Yeah,
All right, so
Harbor Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I take a left and go up Shed Road.
Yep.
Yeah,
then you take a right at the stop sign.
okay, see, my
Okay,
my
so it's that
GPS is
one
on
right
the
on
right,
the,
it's
that
going
one.
up that way.
You take a right on the side,
Yeah, because I went up there one time to see where the tower was. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
So it's right, it's on the right-hand side as you're going to the tower.
Well,
We go in the back way.
according to my,
Yeah, you go down Spalding.
no offense, chief, according to my thing, we're in the middle of the woods, so you gotta watch out.
Alright, so.
I see a school, I see farmland.
There's a lot of farmland around there. What's that?
I didn't realize they bought,
Ever?
All right, guys,
Yeah.
let's move on.
Yeah,
What's that?
joins there, a lot of it.
and now they're getting all up behind there and all the way over to
I tried.
140.
I did my part.
I know. Okay, the only thing you have left is a non-public.
Okay.
Alright. And manifest.
Make a motion to go into non-public.
Can I pause you for a second?
Sure.
There's one question on the manifest. I'm not sure if we want to do it beforehand so you can do non-public, come out, non-public and leave, or if we have to go on to documented. On the manifest, I saw the flashlights. I just want to bring that up. It was on the apparatus, and the line of accounting is it was going against. We've already exceeded. So I know it's a bottom line budget. It's the worst thing in the world. I hate hearing, but the line for flashlights we already passed by quite a bit. When the bill came in, I understand that, but it's one of those things that when we're looking at this, because like the thermal imaging cameras, I mean, you put it in front of us, and I was more than comfortable with it until I saw the line of accounting that we never even budgeted against it. So that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Last fiscal year.
That was in this packet.
There was money in the, PPE, and there were other money in the flashlights, but they needed the flashlights, so you approved it.
I'll find these.
Right, because, and, so were they part of the 543 we had here, did it come, it just came in after that, right?
Right, it was last year's budget.
Right, but at the last meeting we had, this was,
They had already been ordered.
so was it, so where we stand for the budget for January to December, it was sitting at 543.34, originally budgeted 450, so that 543, was that, it kind of encumbered into that 543, or is that on top of the 543, with that manifest we're looking at? That's kind of what I'm trying to ask is,
Those numbers are included in the itemized budget that I gave you tonight.
okay.
Those are updated.
Okay, so that means if we went to this one for apparatus,
Yes.
we would see if it's 543 or if it's 8 or whatever.
Easy, I just put it, I had it at Tilton Town Hall, so it was.
898.
So it's in addition to the 543.
Right.
And that's where I have it. I understand we purchased it, they're already here, we're kind of trapped into the thing, but I mean, there's many other areas of the line that we came under, so I greatly appreciate that. I mean, because when I started looking at other things in the manifest, we're conservative 1,000 under, not even remotely close of a wash for it, but it's trying to do the thing. I mean, I'll sign it, but I wanted to discuss it on the table tonight. That we, like thermal imaging cameras, when they did come through, we approved it. I never even realized we didn't budget for it this year, but we did. We worked through it. We're still under the overall budget, so everything good, but still, in reality, that could have been savings for the taxpayers. I mean, so you came under, and I respect that, absolutely. But,
About 47,000 on the apparatus and equipment fund.
yep. But this year, we were getting very tight based on the maintenance and stuff like that. And if we have money left over in something, it's just want to kind of stay closer to the lines. I just wanted the 2 cents in there. But I will sign it tonight. That's fine. I just wanted to bring it up as part of the public. So I'll sign it now.
Wait, is that this one?
That is that one.
What's the other one?
I haven't even started the big one yet.
Oh, all right. I'll let you keep it. Okay.
All right, now you can do your motion for non-public.
I forget what the motion was gonna be, so. Make motion to go to non-public session,
Which are, say,
I have something, see?
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, Steve.
RSAC, can I read what it
Yes,
Thank you.
is? Do it from memory, we're not gonna lie.
I don't have them memorized yet.
RSA 91A:3, comma, 2C?
yes.
Okay.
Matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board, unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement or waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant.
And I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Roll call vote?
Roll call vote. John?
Yes.
Paul, yes.
Eric, yes.
And enter non-public session at
Tell us it's off.
6:40.
6:40 by.
Will you shut this
Verizon time.
recorder off?
That
Yes.
one goes off and the
Hit
other one goes
pause,
off.
hit pause, right?
Pause.
Pause.
I can't see.
Okay, you good?
Hit stop. Okay, let's go.
Okay, I'll make a motion to come out of non-public.
Second?
Roll call.
John Sully, yes.
Paul, would you yes?
Eric Byron, yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. At 6:50.
I'll second.
So all those in favor?
Aye.